Hello and welcome to the Pro Wrestling Personified podcast. I'm your host, Louis Carlin, and we are part of the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. And this is the Global Force Wrestling edition of Pro Wrestling Personified podcast. So welcome again, everybody. Thank you for joining me each and every week. I really appreciate it. As always, we're getting new listeners all the time. So thank you to the new listeners and thank you to the old listeners. I really appreciate it. And we got a lot to talk about today. A lot of things going on in Global Force Wrestling. Some controversy, some news. I read an interview with Anthem executive Ed Norholm. So I want to talk about that a little bit. I want to talk about Jeff Jarrett and his leave of absence, how all the Global Force Wrestling haters just jump into conclusions again. I'm going to go into that. And, of course, we're going to talk about all the action that took place in Global Force Wrestling this week as well. So we got a lot to talk about this week in Global Force Wrestling. And, this podcast almost didn't happen. And my company was having a conference this weekend, and I was away all week as well, working for them. So I was away from home all week, and there's this conference this weekend as well, and I planned on actually attending the whole thing, but because I was away from my family for the whole week, I decided, well, I didn't decide. My wife decided that I'm not going to go to the conference for the whole weekend. So it wasn't my decision. It was my wife's decision, actually. But I agree with it. I agree with her. When I told her that the conference is the whole weekend and I'll probably be back on Sunday, and she's like, well, don't you want to spend time with your family? And that was a very valid point, and she was right. So I decided to leave the conference early and to come home and spend time with my family. But they're all sleeping now. I spent my time with them, and they're all sleeping now. So I'm able to do the podcast. I watched Global Force Wrestling, the episode, and I'm able to do the podcast for you guys. It almost didn't happen. I was going to planned on, spending the weekends at the conference, and I told Nick, he's the head honcho at Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast, the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. He's the head honcho there, and I told him I probably won't be able to do the podcast, and they were getting these backup podcasts ready, but I'm able to do this one, so very happy about that. And it almost didn't happen, but it's happening. I'm doing it now. A little tired right now. It was a long week, but if I don't do the podcast, I kind of feel all empty inside, like something's missing, and I get all sad and depressed. So I decided, I got to do the podcast. So that's why I'm here. I'm doing it. The podcast is on Global Force Wrestling, Pro Wrestling Personified. As for the Ring of Honor NXT, I'm not sure. That might not be done, but probably will, because I probably won't go to bed after this and watch NXT, and then I could do the podcast. But right now, it's all about Global Force Wrestling, so that's what I'm doing right now. As you already know, so it's a Pro Wrestling Personified Global Force Wrestling edition. Coming to you live from, not live, but coming to you from my basement each and every week. So that's where I record them. But, so before we get started, though, with getting into the Global Force Wrestling action, I just want to do a few plugs. Might as well do the plugs right off the bat. Instead of waiting till I get halfway through. So if you want to send us an email, tappedOutWrestlingPodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @tappedOutPod. Follow me on Twitter @PWSOTH. And the podcast has an official page on Twitter @PWPersonified. You can follow us on Facebook as well, the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. has a page. I have a group. You could like and you could follow, or you could join. Whatever you want to do, just go ahead and do it, and feel free, and you'll be accepted either way. Whether you like it or you want to join us, you'll be accepted. We want followers, and we want more members, and they're always welcome by Pro Wrestling Personified and by Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. Now you could go to our website, tappedOutWrestlingPodcast.com. You could, what else you can do here? I'm just looking at go to kayfabetoday.com as well. Lots of great written content there. I do some writing for them sometimes as well. So kayfabetoday.com, you want to check them out. If you want to cook incredible meals from scratch, Blue Apron. Go to blueapron.com. If you want a t-shirt, it's prowrestlingtees.com. If you don't have the Fight app, you're going to want to get the Fight app. If you're a wrestling fan or an MMA fan, get the Fight app. Great content on there. And you're going to want to go to tappedOutWrestlingPodcast.com. We have all the links there. Just click on them. Click on the links for the Fight app, for Blue Apron. Just click on the links there, and you'll go directly to it. Do it that way, man. Just go to our website. All the links are there for you. Click on them and download what you need to download, and order what you need to order, and you'll be happy. Whether it's Blue Apron, whether you're preparing a meal with Blue Apron, or if you're watching some professional wrestling action on the Fight app, you'll want to go to our website, tappedOutWrestlingPodcast.com, and click on the links for whichever app or website you like to go to. And Pro Wrestling Tees, if you need a professional wrestling t-shirt, support indie wrestlers, support these guys. They work hard. Buy a t-shirt, prowrestlingtees.com. So there you have it. There you have it. The plugs are out of the way. The plugs are out of the way, Nick. Okay. I'm going to get a nasty email from Nick. He's like, why are you mentioning my name so many times on your podcast? But anyway, let's get started. As I said, I'm a little tired, so if I sound tired, and I've done these podcasts tired in the past, and I mention it, I like to mention it so you don't think, hey, something wrong with Lewis. He doesn't sound like his normal self, and just I'm tired. A long week, but as I said, the podcast must go on. So that's what we're doing here. So let's get into some news, actually. Jeff Jarrett took a leave of absence. He took a leave of absence from Global Force Wrestling, an indefinite leave of absence, and that was the big news. And of course, the internet kind of blew up, and all the Global Force Wrestling haters came out, and they said, "Oh, this is the end. This is the end of Global Force Wrestling," and of course, all the websites started carrying this story that Anthem wants out of the wrestling business. It's not profitable. They're not making any money. Blah, 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 blah. And the report, I've seen it on various different professional wrestling websites. And I really wish these guys, or these websites, would do some fact checking first, confirm some stories first, because to me it's just these websites going, hey, this website says that Global Force Wrestling is going under. We got to get it on our website too. We got to get more clicks. We got to get more attention. And the websites don't care if it's true or not. They just want to get it out there. And they all want to be like the first website to get it out there, so for people to see, and so people will click on the website. Oh, we're getting all these clicks today because we put out this story about Global Force Wrestling, and we don't know if it's true, but we're going to put it out anyway. So I kind of wish they would do a little fact checking first and confirm things before they go ahead and put put this stuff out there, such as, Global Force Wrestling. Anthem wants to get out of the wrestling business. They're looking to sell, and I saw reports that they're looking to sell the library to the WWE again. The WWE is really interested in the library, and Anthem is going to sell to the WWE, which would be the end of Impact Wrestling. That's a bunch of bull crap. Okay, they're not going to sell. And for example, there was an interview. My interview with Ed Nordholm was conducted by Dave Meltzer. And it was conducted yesterday, a day ago. I'm doing this September 9th. I'm recording this, and it was done a day ago. And he's saying, Jeff Jarrett's gone. Jeff Jarrett's gone indefinitely. He took a leave of absence. If you saw the Global Force Wrestling, and I was going to go into it, but I'm going to go into it now. If you saw Global Force Wrestling, Jeff Jarrett didn't look very well. From what I saw, they were interviewing him. They're going over the Triple Mania for AAA, the AAA promotion, and they were interviewing him. He didn't look very well, and they showed him as well, after a match, and he didn't look very well. So there's something not right there. So I understand if he's taking a leave of absence because he didn't look very well. But Nordholm didn't say anything about wanting to sell Global Force Wrestling. He actually was talking about the Global Force Network that's dropping next week. Okay, so if they want to get rid of Global Force Wrestling, or if they want to sell Impact Wrestling, because Jeff Jarrett still actually, I should mention, Jeff Jarrett still owns Global Force Wrestling. Anthem owns Impact. The merger apparently isn't completed yet, so I apologize for that. I've been saying that he doesn't want to sell Global Force. He doesn't want to sell Impact. So the Global Force Network drops next week, and they're going to be showing Impact episodes. And why would they be doing this? Why would they be dropping a network, where they're going to be charging $7.99 per month if they're looking to sell Impact Wrestling? It doesn't make sense. And a lot of these reports were coming out saying, they had the 3 shows and they weren't profitable. It was the first 3 shows that they've had in a very, very long time. These websites that apparently they apparently want Impact Wrestling to fold for some reason. They need to calm the hell down. Just relax. It's the first 3 shows that they've had in a very long time, and the shows weren't profitable. It gets so irritating. It gets so irritating with these websites that put this stuff out there. Again, with this interview with the Anthem executive Ed Nordholm by Dave Meltzer, he says he's not selling the library. The WWE is not getting the library to Impact. He's not selling it because he needs it for the Global Force Network, which is coming out next week. And I, for one, am looking forward to that. He says he's committed to Global Force and Impact, and he hopes Jeff Jarrett is back soon. And this is the head guy, the Anthem executive, who they own Impact Wrestling. Everyone needs, again, just relax. Stop wishing and hoping for the end of Global Force or Impact Wrestling, because it's not going to happen. People have been saying this for so long, but it's not happening. They've been around for 15 years. Okay? They've been around for 15 years. They're not folding. They're not going anywhere. And they're not selling the library to the WWE. Okay? That's how I feel about it. Could I be wrong? Of course I could be. A report could come out tomorrow that Impact Wrestling sells the library to the WWE. That could come out tomorrow. But my feeling is everyone needs to relax. Global Force Wrestling is not going anywhere. Impact Wrestling is not being sold. The library is not being sold to the WWE. Jeff Jarrett, from what I've seen and from what I've read, didn't look well. Something's not right there. He needs to take the leave of absence. get well, fix what he needs to fix, and I'm sure he'll be back. And he's not completely gone, right? He's not completely gone. He's still in a consultant role, and they're going to be consulting with him from time to time. So everyone just needs to relax. Everyone just needs to relax. Again, my opinion, Impact Wrestling and Global Force Wrestling, they're not going anywhere. We got Bound for Glory coming up next month. More TV tapings coming up. Again, please, everyone, just relax. And to the websites out there, stop trying to be first with the news when you don't confirm stuff. Because it's ridiculous. You're just throwing stuff out there because you're throwing stuff out there. You just want people to click on your website and read the story. You don't know if it's true. You don't know if it's. Dutch Mantel came out saying, "Don't believe everything you read." Exactly. Don't believe everything you read. So he said that after these reports came out. But it's just like we got to get it out there first. We don't care if it's true or not. We're just going to get it out there first. Just relax, people. And for all the everyone on Twitter, that seemed very happy about this. They're like, oh yeah, WWE is going to get the library and they're going to buy Impact and the Hardys are going to get the broken gimmick. Yay. First of all, everyone, the broken gimmick, forget about it. I'd say forget about it. It was good in TNA and when it was back in TNA and Impact Wrestling. It was good, but I think it ran its course. I think if they bring it now to the WWE, it might get over a little bit, but then I think it'll die. So just forget about the broken gimmick, and stop being so angry that Impact Wrestling hasn't released the broken gimmick to the Hardys. Don't be so angry. Well, if you ask me, and you say, Lewis, don't you think Impact Wrestling should have just given the Hardys the broken gimmick? I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say absolutely. Absolutely. I don't see any benefit in Impact Wrestling and Impact Wrestling holding the broken gimmick from the Hardys while they're in the WWE. There's no benefit to them at all. They're not making any money off it. There's no benefit. I would have just and they are getting a little bit of flack from it. I would have just given it to the Hardys, said thank you for what you've done for Impact Wrestling. Good luck with it. Here, you can have it. But they didn't do that. And am I getting angry about it though? Does it anger me? No, it doesn't anger me. I don't care really, but it seems to anger a lot of people, and a lot of people are on Twitter, and they're excited now that WWE's gonna this is the end of Impact Wrestling, and WWE's gonna get the broken gimmick, and finally the Hardy Boys are gonna get their broken gimmick back, and the broken universe is gonna be in the WWE, and we're gonna see them feud with this guy and that guy and blah blah blah, and delete. Come on. It's not that big of a thing that it gets you upset or it gets you angry or it gets you so excited that now the broken gimmick is coming back, or when you get angry and say, how could they hold the broken gimmick from from the Hardy Boys? It makes me so angry, and I've seen Twitter tweets like that. I can see there was one guy I was tweeting with. He sent me a tweet that there's one company, and I'm not going to name I'm not going to say the name of the company, but there's one company that apparently Impact Wrestling wanted to do business with, and this company said, once you release the broken gimmick back to the Hardys, then we can talk about doing business. I would have responded, go F yourself, okay? Go F yourself. You're not going to do business with us because we haven't released the broken gimmick to the Hardys, really? Then you're a very poor businessman. You're a very poor business. You do business poorly. If you're not you're not winning any fans. It's not like people are going to be marching in the streets going, "Oh yeah, this restaurant." It's a restaurant. I gave something like, this restaurant took a stand against Impact Wrestling for not giving the Hardys the broken gimmick. Yeah, let's yeah, right, woohoo. Yeah, that's bad way to do business, in my opinion. You have this restaurant, and who knows who goes there, and you have an opportunity to do business with Impact. If you don't want to do business with them, just say we're not interested. Don't throw this broken crap in there, because it's kind of stupid. It's honestly, like I said, Impact should have given it to them with said, here, good luck, you can have it. I don't see any benefit in Impact keeping it, but it doesn't get me angry. I mean, if I owned a company and Impact Wrestling wanted to do business with me, I'm not going to say, well, this could be a good venture for my company, but you didn't give the broken gimmick to Matt and Jeff Hardy, so no, we can't do business. Sorry. So I could stand to make a lot of money from this, but you didn't give them the broken gimmick, so no, we can't do business. Yeah, that's stupid. It's stupid in my opinion. But anyway, that's that. Wow, I've been going on. I didn't mean to. I wasn't planning on getting into this broken thing, but I've seen a lot of tweets now. People getting excited. I've seen angry tweets in the past, and people say, why won't they just release the broken gimmick? It's like, oh, my life is not going to be the same if they don't release the broken gimmick. You still got bills to pay. Your bills, even if they do release the broken gimmick, you still got bills to pay. You still have to take care of whoever you got to take care of. You still got to go to work the next day. Nothing in your life is changing. So no reason to get so angry over it, or so upset over it, or so happy that, oh yeah, woohoo, the broken gimmick might be coming to the Hardy Boys. Anyway, I didn't mean to go into that rant about the broken universe. I think, I was gonna talk a little bit more about the broken universe, but no, I think I think I've spoke about it enough. But anyway, about Jeff Jarrett, I do hope, whatever the reason why he took that leave of absence, whatever it is, I hope he gets well soon and he gets back to Global Force and Impact Wrestling, because he's done a great job so far, in my opinion, since he's come back. All right, I think maybe we should actually go into the actual show now that I got my little rants out of the way. Just looking over my notes here for a second. Why don't we? So the main event, actually, the big match this week was actually Eli Drake defending his Global Force Wrestling title against Matt Sydal. And the show opened with they showed Eli Drake and Matt Sydal with the caption that said earlier today. So it showed them, arriving at the Impact Zone. And they seem to do this now, like every week. Every time there's a big match, they'll show, like, you've seen Bobby Lashley and you've seen other wrestlers, EC3 is like earlier today, and you see them coming into the into the Impact Zone. I don't. First of all, they put earlier today, like it's earlier, like today, like today it happened today. But it hasn't, because it's taped. It's taped a few weeks ago, or a week or 2 weeks ago. So it's not like it's happened today. So I was never really a fan of that, because they're trying to, again, I've never, I mean, if you tape a show, then that's fine, there's nothing wrong with it, but I've never been a fan of shows, and Impact Wrestling is notorious for this, for pretending that the show is live. Earlier today, here the wrestlers are coming to the Impact Zone. They pretend they're live, and it's not live. The fans aren't stupid. It's not live. I've never been a fan of that. It's not a live show, but they try to make it seem like it's a live show. And I mean, why do we need to see the wrestlers arriving every week? It's like Lashley arrived today, and Eli Drake arrived early today. We don't need to. I don't see the benefit in that at all. Anyway, but that's how they started the show, and the match itself. The match itself was actually very good between Eli Drake and Matt Sydal. It was a good, awesome match. Good action. Good back and forth action as expected. Chris Adonis, of course, was with Eli Drake, and I enjoyed the match. But I didn't like the ending. Eli Drake, of course, Eli Drake gets the win, but he had to cheat. He cheated to win. What he did is use the title, hit Sydal over the head with it, and hit his finisher and won the match. You got this new champion. You got Eli Drake, the new champion. He's your guy. He's the guy that you went with. Why do you have to have him cheat to win? Like, why can't you just give him a clean win? You got to build this guy up. You've screwed around with this guy for months on end, and now you finally realize, hey, we got something here with Eli Drake. You make him your champion, but you don't give him a clean win over a top contender like Matt Sydal. You have to have him cheat to win. It blows my mind. I loved the match. The match was great. Any match that Eli Drake and Matt Sydal are in, is usually very good. And this match was very, very good. It was an awesome match, in my opinion. But can't we just get a clean win once in a while for Eli Drake? Or why does he have to cheat? You have to build this guy up. Now, he's your champion, and have him cheat to win. I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. If I was booking the match, he would have won clean. He would have won clean, fair and square. He wouldn't have cheated, and it would have added to into building up Eli Drake. Because right now he's a champion, but he seems like a cheater. He's got to cheat to win, and it was his first title defense too. His first title defense since winning the title, and you have him cheat to win. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. Loved the match. Didn't like the ending. Didn't like the ending of the match. Didn't make sense. Again, you got to build the guy up. Build him. He's your champion. And I hope he's going to be the champion for a long, long time. Because if anyone is worth being the Global Force Wrestling champion and to leading the company, it's Eli Drake. And the fans were behind him. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Eli Drake become a babyface sometime down the road, because the fans are back. The fans chant along with him. So he's such a special talent. He's such a special talent, in my opinion. And his first title defense, he should have got a clean win. Case closed. They messed up there. Bottom line, Global Force Wrestling messed up there. He should have got a clean win. Plain and simple. And then that's all I'm going to say about that, because it irritates me. It really irritates me. It really, really irritates me that they can't give him a clean victory, that he has to cheat to win in his first title defense. That doesn't make sense. But anyway, let's move on. Because I'm getting a little riled up here. I'm gonna go into another Broken Universe rant in a second if we don't. Or I'll go into Eli Drake rant in a second, and I don't want to rant on anything else today. But the show itself wasn't bad. The show was very good, except I didn't like that ending. And I'm not going to say it again. I've said it too many times. But anyway, the show actually started after we saw the first match. After we saw Drake and Sydal and the earlier today arrival, went right into a match, and it was Trevor Lee and Caleb Conley versus Petey Williams and the X Division champion Sanjay Dutt. Another solid match, another fun opener. Petey Williams looks terrific. think he hasn't wrestled for 3 years, but he looks terrific. And it was again solid match, good action, good back and forth action. It's good to see Caleb Conley actually, because I know they signed him about a year ago, and they really haven't really used him. And he's a very, very talented wrestler, and I haven't used him much. But it looks like now he's involved in this angle now with him and Caleb Conley are the North Carolina boys. They're both from North Carolina, so naturally they have to team together. So they're the North Carolina boys, and that's not their official title. That's just what I'm calling them. But they're both from North Carolina, and looks like Caleb Conley is getting more and more TV time every week, which is good. But very, very good match. Petey Williams and Sanjay Dutt wound up winning the match. Petey Williams hit his Canadian Destroyer on Caleb Conley again and got the win for his team. I don't know. They announced later on in the show that next week it's going to be Trevor Lee against Sanjay Dutt in a Falls Count Anywhere match for the X Division title. So if they were putting that match together, they knew they were giving us that match. Again, the ending should, my opinion, the ending should have been Sanjay Dutt. Trevor Lee getting the win over Sanjay Dutt, just to add intrigue to the match next week. Because we've seen Sanjay Dutt against Trevor Lee in the past, and Sanjay Dutt wound up winning. He wound up winning, but I would have given it to Trevor Lee and let him get the pinfall victory over Sanjay Dutt. Would have added a little more intrigue. Because why does it have to be a Falls Count Anywhere match? I don't understand that. It's not like there's any controversy between the two in prior matches on who won. Sanjay Dutt won. I think it was the last match they had was a ladder match, and Conley and Petey Williams did get involved, but Sanjay Dutt did ultimately win. But they decided, we're going to have a Falls Count Anywhere match. But I would have had Trevor Lee win the match for his team this week, again, to add intrigue to the Falls Count Anywhere match next week. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, I haven't read it. I don't know what happens next week. Hopefully, Trevor Lee wins the title back and he becomes the X Division champion. I would love to see that. Absolutely would love to see that. But we'll see what happens next week. But nonetheless, I would have had Trevor Lee pin Sanjay Dutt. It would have generated more interest for the match next week. And I was thinking about what about Desmond Xavier? I mean, after he won the Super X Cup, he was saying that he wants a shot at the X Division title. But we heard from him later on in the show. They did a little piece on little interview and video package on Desmond Xavier. So he's still in the hunt. So I think what's going to happen is Sanjay Dutt's going to wind up winning next week. And then we're going to go into Sanjay Dutt against Desmond Xavier for the X Division title. Then after that... After that, we had LAX, Santana and Ortiz defending their Global Force Wrestling tag team titles against the team of, I think the name is Josh Bolin, and Zachary Wentz. Basically a squash match, and I really like the match because they need to build up Santana and Ortiz, because they kind of lost their edge a little bit in the Alberto El Patron feud, because when Patron went through all of LAX rather easily in that gauntlet match that they had, so they need to build Santana and Ortiz up a little bit, and they did a good job here. I really liked the squash match. It made them look really dominant, which is what they needed to do. So good call here. But OVE was watching in the back, and they eventually came out after the match was over, and they cut a promo on LAX, and Conan comes out, and that comes out, but he's already out, and Conan, I'm thinking of Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien. But Conan cuts a promo on OVE, insults him a little bit. And then he says, if you want a title shot, you can have a title shot, but it's going to be for the Crash promotion, which is Conan's promotion in Tijuana. Okay, fine. So I don't understand the logic there. Why? Well, first of all, I think it's too soon for OVE to be in the title picture. They won 3 matches so far. I don't know. It's too soon. It's too soon, in my opinion. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a great match between the two. I'm not sure why they need to have it in Tijuana for the Crash promotion and not in the Impact Zone. Maybe they want to be in front of a bigger crowd, or a live crowd. I don't know. I don't know what the thinking is there, but nonetheless, I'm looking forward to that match. Even though I think it's a little too early for OVE, I would prefer Garza Jr. and Laredo Kid. That's a feud I was hoping to see, which we haven't seen. I talked about it in the past. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It should be a great match between two excellent teams. I love Santana and Ortiz. I don't see them losing the titles to OVE at all. But we'll see. We'll see what happens next week as they battle each other in Tijuana, Mexico, for the Crash promotion. So I hope they show the full match, and I just hope they don't show clips of the match. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But anyway, the win was the squash match. The dominant win was definitely needed by Santana and Ortiz. So that was well done. That was well done. So I approved of that this week. That got my approval. Then after that, we had Taryn Terrell and Sienna, the Global Force Wrestling Women's Champion, against Gail Kim and Allie. Now, Sienna came out with KM, and Allie had Braxton Sutter to offset KM. It was a good match. Good match between them. It was kind of fast and quick match, but nonetheless, it was good nonetheless. Some good back and forth action. I like Josh Matthews though. I think he said Allie looks like an Easter egg with the wrestling outfit she was wearing. It's pretty funny. So he called her an Easter egg. Yeah, Taryn Terrell and Sienna win the match. Allie attempted a crossbody off the top onto Sienna, but Sienna reversed it, held the tights, and got the victory for her team. But after the match is when the real action started. Terrell and Sienna started to beat down Gail Kim and Allie until Rosemary decided to come down, and she came down. She held her own against the two for a bit, but Terrell and Sienna eventually overcame Rosemary, and then music hits, and here comes Taya the Valkyrie, or Taya Valkyrie. Is it Taya the Valkyrie or Taya Valkyrie? I'm just going to say Taya Valkyrie from Lucha Underground, make her debut. She comes down, and initially it looks like she's going to save Rosemary from Terrell and Sienna, but she turns the tables on Rosemary and gives Rosemary a beatdown, and it's like we have a new heel on our hands in Taya the Valkyrie. So, but I like the debut. I'm a fan of Taya. She's very, very, very talented. Great addition to the women's division, the Global Force Wrestling's women's division, and I'm looking forward to I'm all for a Taya and Rosemary feud. That has great potential. Great potential. If you haven't seen Taya, take my word for it. She's very, very talented. Great addition to the women's division. I'm not sure. I guess she's going to align herself with Terrell and Sienna, because I know Terrell and Sienna are kind of a team right now. So I guess she's going to align herself with them. and we'll see. It's gonna be interesting. The Global Force Wrestling women's division is going to be very fun to watch over the next few weeks. I want to talk about KM a little bit. KM is with Sienna. I'm not sure what happened. He was getting pushed, and he was doing these the great vignettes with are you calling me a liar and being a bully? And those were really, really good. And he's getting a bit of a push, but it seems like now he's just Sienna's valet, and that's about it. So I'm not sure what they're doing. And he actually got involved in the match, and of course Braxton Sutter came in and took care of KM. So I don't know if Sutter is actually going to turn heel. He's been hinting towards it, but I don't know. But this week he was full-fledged babyface. So I don't know if he's going to eventually turn heel or what's going to happen there, but we'll keep our eyes on that situation there and see what goes on. Okay, we'll keep our eyes on the Braxton Sutter potential heel turn situation in the upcoming weeks. So we'll see what happens there. And Jim Cornette comes out. He cuts a promo. Talks about he was talking about. I know I spoke about it already, but he talking about the Matt Sydal Eli Drake match. He called Matt Sydal undefeated. I love Jim Cornette, but Sydal's not undefeated. Yeah, he's lost many, many times. Not in Global Force Wrestling, but he's lost many, 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 many times. So to come out and say he's undefeated was not the best thing to say. I know he's not undefeated, so. But Jim Cornette felt compelled to say that he's undefeated. But anyway, he spoke more, cut a promo on that match, and Johnny Impact comes down and says he wants the winner of Drake and Sydal. Low Key and LAX come down as well. Low Key said he doesn't deserve a title shot. He just got here. Then Low Key says this is not the WWE. This is not Lucha Underground. This is Global Force Wrestling. And they bleep something out, so I'm assuming he said bitch. So this is Global Force Wrestling, bitch. And it's interesting to hear Low-Key say that this is Global Force Wrestling, bitch, when he has decided that he's going to leave Global Force Wrestling because he wasn't getting the push towards the world title that he wanted, and which is odd because I've been watching wrestling. I've been watching the shows for the last few weeks, and it seems that's all he's being pushed towards is the world title. So I'm not sure why he got angry that he's not getting a world title push. He's getting the world title push, so there has to be something else there why he left. But anyway, it's interesting him saying that this is not WWE, it's not Lucha Underground, it's Global Force Wrestling, bitch. But he's no longer with Global Force Wrestling because, he took his ball and went home. But anyway, but they had a good heated exchange, and which actually turned into a good heated brawl. Low Key and Johnny Impact brawled, and LAX got involved, and it was the security came out. It was a good pull apart brawl between the two, and it's. Afterwards, Cornette made the match for next week, number one contenders match for the world title, Low Key versus Johnny Impact. So Low Key, who was complaining that he's not getting a push towards the world title, he doesn't want to be in the X Division picture, which is why he left, is in a number one contenders match next week for the Global Force Wrestling world title. So I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't understand why he left. I know, of course, these matches were taped before he left, but I don't see why he left. He's getting a shot. He's in the world title picture, so it just doesn't make sense to me. Like I said earlier, there has to be something else there. But we're not going to speculate any further. We're not going to speculate any further. But next week. Low Key takes on Johnny Impact to determine the number one contender for the Global Force Wrestling world title, which is held by Eli Drake. So I'm expecting Johnny Impact to win that match, and setting up an Eli Drake versus Johnny Impact. And I hope they give Drake a clean win. I hope he doesn't have to cheat again to beat Johnny Impact. And please, I hope Johnny Impact is not going to beat Eli Drake and become the Global Force Wrestling World Champion. Because I will go on a rant on that if that happens. So then we had another Grado and Joseph Park and Laurel Van Ness segment. Grado has decided to, because she's Canadian, marrying her is not going to help his cause to stay in the country. So he told Laurel Van Ness that the wedding is off. Nothing personal, no hard feelings, but the wedding is off. And Laurel Van Ness started smearing makeup all over her face, and now she's back to being the hot mess character, which is well, either if she's the hot mess character or not, I'm a fan. So either way, I'm happy. So I'm sure she'll be the hot mess character back next week. And I'm sure she'll realign herself with Congo Kong. And looks like maybe we'll get the Congo Kong Abyss match that we've all been waiting for. Well, that I have been waiting for. I don't know who else is waiting for it, but that I have been waiting for. And then, after that, they went into like 20 minutes. It must have been 20 minutes, almost a half hour, talking about the Triple Mania match, the biggest show of the AAA, the AAA Mexico promotions, biggest show of the year for them. It's called Triple Mania. And they went on, they talked about it for 20 minutes. Now I understand they want to showcase, Global Force Wrestling wrestlers in Mexico, and Bobby Lashley was there, Moose, Johnny Impact. They touched on the Sexy Star Rosemary incident as well. But I think, they went on for like 20 minutes when we could have had another match or two. But I think they did that because, one thing that I noticed and I was very happy about was there was no America Top Team angle this week. We didn't see them at all. I think that will probably be scrapped now because Jeff Jarrett has taken the leave of absence. So they probably kind of, decided not to include that in this week's episode. So they because I know Jeff Jarrett was heavily involved in that angle. So that angle hopefully is scrapped because I wasn't a fan of it at all. Now that Jeff Jarrett, as I mentioned, has taken a leave of absence, but this is the segment that Jeff Jarrett did a few interviews segments. Talk about Triple Mania. He didn't look well. And I know I mentioned that earlier. He didn't look well. And they showed, they touched on, like I said, the Sexy Star Rosemary incident as well. Sexy Star, of course, dislocating Rosemary's shoulder, getting her in the armbar, wouldn't let her go. And they showed an angry Jeff Jarrett, I guess after a match backstage, and he looked like a shell of his former self. So there's something not right there. He's got to get well. Something's not right there. So I do hope whatever it is that he needs to fix, that he fixes it and he gets well soon. But again, it went on. That's the only thing I can think of is because they had some segments with America Top Team that they decided not to include in this episode, so they decided to run 20-25 minutes of, hey, let's show video packages of the Triple Mania card and showcase some Global Force wrestlers. So that's all I could think of as to why we got like 20 minutes of this instead of couldn't they have maybe and I'm sorry, I get we saw Richard Justice again this week. I stopped what I was saying because it just came to my mind. Just came to my head. We got Richard Justice segment again this week. And he said he's hurt from last week after being destroyed by Congo Kong, but he's still doing his squat thrusts. He said he's got to stay ready just in case they need him again. Why do they keep showing this guy and they're not showing Marche Rocket? Why is Richard Justice on Global Force Wrestling TV and Marche Rocket is not? I'm going to talk about this each and every week because Marche Rocket belongs on Impact Wrestling, Global Force Wrestling TV. The guy is so talented. I don't know why they don't see this. I don't know why they don't see this. They have this laughing stock, Richard Justice, who I just don't enjoy watching at all, and I don't think anybody who's listening enjoys watching Richard Justice. It's a comedy act. It's not funny. It's an insult to the professional wrestling fan. Marshe Rockett is on the sidelines right now. They could do so much with him. They could do so much with Marshe Rockett, but they refuse not to. And that irritates me. And I tweet about this all the time. I vocal about it. Don't know why we're not seeing Marshe Rockett at all on Impact Wrestling, Global Force Wrestling. So they have. It's just forget about Richard Justice. Don't waste time with Richard Justice. Give us a Marshe Rockett match. You don't need 20 minutes of talk about Triple Mania. Couldn't they just film a Marshe Rockett match? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that you have this talent, this one talented wrestler, and if you're not familiar with Marshe Rockett and you might not be because you might be new to Global Force Wrestling and you haven't seen him, go to YouTube, type in Marshe Rockett. Watch some Marshe Rockett matches. Trust me, the guy is so damn talented, and he belongs on TV. But for some reason, they don't want to put him on. They don't want to put him on. And what's going to happen? And I'll say this over and over again. Is what's going to happen is his contract's going to run out, and he's going to get an offer from Ring of Honor or NXT. He's going to go there, and Global Force Wrestling is going to say, "Why didn't we ever use that guy? Why did we just leave him on the sidelines for? Instead of, they're going to say to themselves, instead of Richard Justice, we should have used Marshe Rockett in a segment. That's what's going to happen. He's going to go to a Ring of Honor. He's going to go to Ring of Honor. He's going to go to NXT, and he's going to thrive there. That's what's going to wind up happening. They're going to lose this top talent in Marshe Rockett. If they don't smarten up and start using him soon. So there's another rant on Marshe Rockett. They talked about Eddie Edwards this week, winning the GHC title from Pro Wrestling Noah. So he's their new heavyweight champion. We got a Garza Jr. backstage promo and video package. Looks like he's going to come out as a singles wrestler now. So I guess the tag team of Garza Jr. and Laredo Kid is over. So we're going to get, again, looks like he's coming back as a singles wrestler. And I think that's it. I think I went over everything for Global Force Wrestling this week. Looking over my notes. I'm going to hum while I look over my notes. So just hope you don't mind. Gosh, I gotta go to sleep soon, man. I'm exhausted. No, I went over everything. All right, I touched upon everything in Global Force Wrestling this week, and that's it. Again, I want to thank everybody for listening. I apologize again if I ranted on too many things, if I rambled on about too many things, and you didn't want to hear this week. I do apologize. I'm thinking back. I think I did ramble on about a lot of stuff, and I probably sound like I'm 2 seconds away from falling asleep. But like I said, podcast has to go on, and my throat probably sounds irritated. But again, podcast has to go on. The podcast has to go on, so I got to do it. I gotta do it. Like I said, otherwise I feel all empty inside. So that's why I did it. And that's it. Until next week, then. Got a few more good matches coming up. Global Force Wrestling. Like I said, you have Sanjay Dutt against Trevor Lee in a Falls Count Anywhere match for the X Division Championship. And you have Low-Key taking on Johnny Impact in a match to determine the number one contender for Eli Drake's Global Force Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. And that's it. And that that is it. That's it this week. So I am just going to say thank you very much again for joining me this week on Pro Wrestling Personified podcast, a Global Force Wrestling edition. I am Lewis Carlin. We are part of the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. And until next time, thank you very much. Take care, so long, and stay safe, everybody. Bye-bye.